My name is Nell. I'm 54 years old, and I thought I knew what family meant. After my husband John passed away 6 years ago from cancer, I held on to one dream: a trip to Alaska. The three of us. Me, my son Brandon, and his wife. I saved every penny from my teacher's pension, $12,000, to make it happen. I imagined us together watching glaciers, making memories. I never imagined my own family would betray me like this. I never imagined I'd have to fight for my own dignity. But sometimes the people you trust the most are the ones who hurt you deepest. Before I tell you what happened next, I'd love to know where you're watching from. Drop your city in the comments below. If you've ever been betrayed by someone you trusted, someone you gave everything to, hit that like button. And please subscribe, because this story has a twist that'll make you rethink everything about family loyalty. Trust me, you'll want to hear how a widow on a fixed income outsmarted an entitled daughter-in-law who thought she could steal her dream vacation. Let me take you back to where it all started. I live in Portland, Oregon, in a small 2-bedroom house that John and I bought 30 years ago. The mortgage is paid off, thank goodness, but everything else costs money. Property taxes, utilities, groceries. I get by on my pension, about $2,800 a month. Not much, but I make it work. I taught second grade at Riverside Elementary for 35 years, retired 3 years ago. I loved those kids, every single one of them. Their faces when they finally understood how to read a new word or solved a math problem they'd been struggling with. That joy made everything worth it. But teaching doesn't make you rich. John worked as an electrician. Good, steady work. We lived simply, cooked at home, packed lunches, bought clothes at thrift stores. We didn't mind. We had each other. We had Brandon. We had enough. Then the cancer came. Pancreatic, stage 4. They gave John 6 months. He lasted 8. Those last months drained our savings. Medical bills, medications, hospice care. Insurance covered some, but not all. After he died, I had about $3,000 left in the bank. 6 years of rebuilding. 6 years of living on beans and rice, shopping clearance racks, skipping restaurants entirely. I garden in the backyard. Tomatoes, lettuce, green beans. I knit scarves and sell them at the local craft fair. Every bit helps. Slowly, I built that $3,000 into $15,000. My life is quiet now. I read library books. I meet my friend Dorothy for coffee once a week at the diner, where seniors get a discount. I watch game shows in the evening. I don't travel. I don't buy new furniture. I just exist day after day in this house full of memories. Brandon is my only child, 30 years old now. He works as a software engineer in Seattle, about 3 hours north, makes good money, 6 figures, I think. Though he never tells me exactly how much. He rents a nice apartment downtown, drives a new car, eats at fancy restaurants. I'm proud of him, I really am. He met Jenna 4 years ago at some tech conference. She worked in marketing. Pretty girl. Blonde hair, bright smile, always dressed perfectly. When Brandon brought her home that first Thanksgiving, I liked her immediately. She seemed sweet, asked me questions about teaching, complimented my cooking, helped with dishes. They got married 2 years ago. Small wedding, just 50 people at a vineyard outside Seattle. I wore the same dress I'd worn to my cousin's wedding 5 years earlier, but I didn't mind. Jenna looked beautiful. Brandon looked happy. That's all that mattered. But something changed after the wedding. Brandon used to visit every 2 weeks. We'd have lunch, walk around the neighborhood, talk for hours. After he married Jenna, the visits became monthly, then every 2 months. Phone calls got shorter. He was always busy, always had somewhere to be. Jenna stopped calling me entirely. Before the wedding, she'd text me funny memes, ask for my pot roast recipe, send photos of things she and Brandon did together. After the wedding, silence. If I called Brandon and she answered, she'd say he wasn't available and hang up. No small talk, no warmth. I told myself they were newlyweds. They needed time together. I didn't want to be that mother-in-law, the one who's always calling, always needing attention. So I pulled back. I waited for them to reach out. The loneliness grew heavy. Some nights I'd sit in the living room where John and I used to watch TV together, and I'd cry. Not loud, dramatic crying, just quiet tears sliding down my face. I missed my husband. I missed my son. I missed feeling like I mattered to someone. Then March came around. Brandon's birthday is in June the 15th. I wanted to do something special, something meaningful. I kept thinking about John's promise. Years ago, before the cancer, John and I talked about taking Brandon to Alaska. John had always wanted to see glaciers, wildlife, the northern lights. He'd show me brochures, plan imaginary trips. Someday, Nell, he'd say. Someday we'll go. Someday never came. The cancer took him first. I thought, what if I made John's dream come true? What if I took Brandon to Alaska? And Jenna too, of course. A family trip. 3 of us. Creating the memories John never got to make. I researched online. Alaska cruises. 7 days. Mid-June when the weather is best. Prices varied wildly, but I found one through Alaska Dream Cruises. $12,000 for 3 people, everything included. Flights from Seattle to Anchorage. Cabin on the ship with a balcony. All meals. Excursions to Glacier Bay, Ketchikan, Juneau, Skagway. $12,000. Almost everything I'd saved. But I kept thinking about John. About Brandon. About how maybe this trip could bring us close again. How maybe Jenna would warm up to me if we spent time together. How maybe, just maybe, I'd feel less alone. I spent 2 weeks reading reviews, comparing cabins, checking dates. I chose Cabin 8214 on Deck 8. Balcony view. Perfect for watching the ocean. I imagined us 3 standing there together, watching whales breathing cold, clean air. On a Tuesday evening in mid-March, I called Brandon. My hands shook as I dialed. What if he said no? What if he was too busy? He answered on the 3rd ring. Hey Mom, what's up? Hi honey, do you have a minute? Sure, yeah, just finishing dinner. What's going on? I took a breath. I want to take you on a trip, for your birthday. Silence. Then, a trip where? Alaska. A 7-day cruise in June, you, me and Jenna. More silence. Then his voice exploded with excitement. Mom, are you serious, Alaska? I've always wanted to go there. My heart soared. Really? Yes. Oh man, Mom, that's incredible. When in June? June 15th through the 22nd. I know it's your birthday. I thought it would be perfect. That sounds amazing. Wait, how much does something like that cost? Don't worry about that. It's my gift to you. Mom, no, that's gotta be expensive. You don't have to do that. I want to. Please, let me do this. We talked for 30 minutes. He asked about the itinerary. I told him about Glacier Bay, the fishing villages, the train ride through the mountains. He kept saying, "This is so cool, Mom. Thank you. Seriously, thank you." Before we hung up, he said, I'll talk to Jenna tonight. I'm sure she'll be excited too. And I'll request time off work tomorrow. Perfect. I love you, Brandon. Love you too, Mom. I hung up and sat there in the quiet kitchen smiling. Really smiling for the first time in months. My boy was excited. We were going to Alaska. Together. That night I slept better than I had in years. The next week I finalized everything. On March 15th, I sat at my computer, credit card in hand, and booked the cruise through the Alaska Dream Cruises website. The total came to $12,300, including taxes and port fees. I stared at that number for a long moment. Then I entered my credit card information and clicked confirm. My stomach flipped as the payment processed. There went my savings. 6 years of scrimping, sacrificing, saving. Gone in one click. But I thought about Brandon's excitement on the phone. I thought about John's dream. I clicked the button. 3 days later, confirmation emails arrived. 3 electronic tickets. 1 for Nell Harrison, that's me. 1 for Brandon Cooper. 1 for Jenna Cooper. Cabin 8214. Departure, June 15th. Return June 22nd. I printed all 3 sets of tickets on nice paper at the library, put them in a folder, double-checked every detail, names spelled correctly, dates accurate, cabin number clear. Everything was perfect. I decided to mail Brandon's and Jenna's tickets instead of emailing them. It felt more special, more official. I went to the drugstore and bought a beautiful blue envelope, the fancy kind with a little shimmer to it. At home, I hand-wrote a card. To my dearest Brandon and Jenna, this trip is my gift to you both. Let's make memories together. Love, Mom. I tucked the 2 sets of tickets and the card into the envelope, sealed it carefully, wrote Brandon's Seattle address on the front. The next morning, Tuesday, I walked to the post office and sent it priority mail. 3 to 4 business days, the clerk said. It should arrive by Friday at the latest. I walked home feeling light, excited. I imagined Brandon opening the envelope, showing Jenna, both of them grinning. Maybe Jenna would call me. Maybe she'd say thank you, tell me how thoughtful it was. Maybe this would fix whatever had broken between us. Friday came and went. No phone call. Saturday, Sunday, nothing. Monday afternoon, I called Brandon. Hi, honey. Did you get the envelope I sent? Oh yeah, got it Friday. Thanks, Mom. His voice sounded flat, distracted. Did you look at everything, the itinerary? The cabin details? Yeah, looks good. Listen, I'm actually in the middle of something. Can I call you back later? Oh, sure, of course. Thanks, Mom. Talk soon. He hung up before I could say goodbye. I stood there holding the phone, confused. He'd been so excited last week. What changed? Maybe work stress. Maybe he was just busy. I texted him that evening. Did you and Jenna check the itinerary? Any questions? He replied 3 hours later. All good, Mom. 2 words, no emoji, no enthusiasm, nothing. An uneasy feeling settled in my chest. Something wasn't right. But what? The next Friday, my phone rang. Unknown. Seattle number. I answered. Hello? Hi, Mom. How are you? Jenna. Her voice sugary sweet, higher pitched than normal. Oh, Jenna. Hi. I'm fine, how are you? I'm wonderful. Just wanted to call and thank you for the amazing trip. You're so generous. Mom. She called me Mom. In 2 years of marriage to Brandon, she'd never called me that. Always just Nell. You're welcome, sweetheart. I'm glad you're excited. Excited, I'm thrilled. This trip means so much to us. You're the best mother-in-law anyone could ask for. The words sounded rehearsed, scripted, like she was reading from a card. Well, I just want us all to spend time together. Of course. That's so sweet. Listen, I have to run, but I wanted to make sure you knew how much we appreciate this. You're truly incredible. Thank you, Jenna. That's very kind. Talk soon. She hung up. I set the phone down slowly. That conversation felt wrong. The over-the-top sweetness, the sudden use of Mom, the excessive compliments. Why I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. 2 weeks passed. Early April now. I kept busy with normal things, gardening, library visits, coffee with Dorothy. But that uneasy feeling never left. One afternoon I logged into Facebook. I don't use it much, but I like seeing photos of Brandon. He rarely calls, but he posts sometimes. Pictures of restaurants, hiking trips, his apartment. I scrolled through my feed. Dorothy had shared a recipe. My former teaching colleague posted grandkid pictures. Then I saw Jenna's name. New post 2 days ago. The photo showed Jenna and another woman I didn't recognize, both in their late 20s. The other woman had brown hair, athletic build, bright smile. They were holding cocktails sitting on a couch somewhere. I read the caption. Can't wait for our Alaska adventure with my bestie, Lauren, dream come true. #Alaska cruise. #BFF goals. My hands went cold. I read it again and again. Our Alaska adventure. With my bestie, Lauren. Not Brandon. Not me. Lauren. Who was Lauren? I scrolled down to the comments. 11 people had commented. So jealous. Have the best time. OMG, you two are going to have a blast. Alaska lucky. Then one from the woman in the photo, presumably Lauren. It's going to be epic. Just us two. Jenna had replied. Best graduation gift ever. Graduation gift. Graduation gift. What I clicked on Jenna's profile. Scrolled back through her posts. Found another one from March 20th, 3 days after I'd mailed the tickets. This one had more restricted privacy settings, just visible to friends, not public. But I was friends with her on Facebook, so I could see it. A photo of tickets. My tickets. The ones I'd sent. Caption, guess who's going to Alaska? My sweet Mill gave us this trip as a gift, and I'm taking Lauren. Brandon's too busy with work anyway, lol. Time for a girl's getaway. Mill. Mother-in-law. Me. I gave them the trip I gave them. Like it was my idea. Comments below. Lauren. OMG, you're the best free vacation, Jenna. I know, right? She's loaded from her teacher pension, lol. Loaded. Loaded. I live on $2,800 a month. I shop at thrift stores. I grow my own vegetables because it's cheaper than buying them. Loaded. Another comment from someone named Ashley. Wait, isn't that supposed to be a family trip? Jenna's reply. Plans change, she'll still go. She just has to deal with being a third wheel, lol. Third wheel. With a laughing emoji. My vision blurred. My chest tightened like someone was squeezing my ribs. I read the comments 3 more times, making sure I understood correctly. Jenna was taking her friend, not Brandon. Brandon wasn't going, and apparently I was supposed to just accept being a third wheel on a trip I paid $12,000 for. I grabbed my phone and called Brandon. My fingers trembled so hard I almost dropped it. It rang 5 times. Voicemail. I called again immediately. Voicemail again. I sent a text, all capitals. Brandon, call me immediately, it is important. 10 minutes passed. 20. No response. I called a 3rd time. This time he answered. Mom, I'm in a meeting. Can I call you back? No. My voice came out harder than I intended. I need to talk now. I saw Jenna's Facebook post. Silence on the other end. Brandon. Oh, that. What's going on? Who is Lauren? Why is Jenna saying she's going to Alaska with her friend? He sighed long and annoyed. Mom, it's complicated. What's complicated? Those tickets are for you, me and Jenna, the 3 of us. I paid $12,000 for a family trip. I know, and we appreciate it, but things changed. Jenna really wants to take Lauren. They've been best friends since college, and Lauren just finished her master's degree. Jenna thought it would be a nice celebration. My mouth opened, but no words came out. I tried again. Brandon, I didn't pay for Jenna's friend to go to Alaska. I paid for our family to go together. Look, Mom, I can't go anyway. Work is really busy right now. I can't take a whole week off in June. We have a major project deadline. You told me you'd request the time off. You promised. Things changed at work. It happens. I'm sorry. So Jenna is just taking someone else on my dime without even asking me. Don't be dramatic, Mom. Jenna deserves a vacation. She works really hard too. Dramatic. He called me dramatic. Brandon, I spent $12,000. That's almost everything I saved in 6 years. For us. For our family. And we appreciate it, Mom, we really do. But the tickets are already in Jenna's name. She can bring whoever she wants. I couldn't breathe. The tickets are in Jenna's name. How? When did that happen? What? When did the tickets get put in Jenna's name? I don't know. Jenna handled it. Look, I really have to go. Stop making this difficult. The line went dead. I sat frozen, phone in my lap. Stop making this difficult. I paid for the trip. I was trying to bring us together. And somehow I was the one making things difficult. I didn't sleep that night. At 3 in the morning, I got up and made tea. Sat at the kitchen table in the dark. Tried to make sense of everything. The next morning, I called Alaska Dream Cruises. A cheerful customer service representative answered. Alaska Dream Cruises, this is Paula speaking. How can I help you today? Hi, my name is Nell Harrison. I booked a cruise departing June 15th. Confirmation number AK79421. I need to ask about something. Of course. Let me pull up your booking. One moment. Keyboard clicking sounds. Okay, I have it here. Cabin 8214. How can I help? I need to know if any changes were made to the passenger names. Let me check the booking history. I see there was a name change request on March 23rd. My stomach dropped. What kind of name change? The original booking had 3 passengers: Nell Harrison, Brandon Cooper, and Jenna Cooper. On March 23rd, someone called to change Brandon Cooper's ticket to Lauren Martinez. Lauren Martinez. So it was real. Who called to make that change? According to our notes, Jenna Cooper called. She said you'd given permission for the change. My hands clenched around the phone. I never gave permission for anything. Oh, I'm sorry, ma'am. But the change was made and confirmed. There was a $200 change fee charged to the original credit card on file. $200. I grabbed my purse, pulled out my credit card statement from last month, scanned down the charges. There. March 23rd. Alaska Dream Cruises. $200. I'd barely glanced at it, assumed it was some kind of additional fee, never questioned it. So my son's ticket was changed to someone else's name, and I was charged for it and nobody asked me. I apologize for any confusion, ma'am. When someone calls with the booking information and credit card details, we process the request. We don't typically verify with all parties. Can I change it back? There would be another $200 fee, and I'd need the new passenger's full legal name and date of birth. I closed my eyes. Another $200 I didn't have. Thank you for the information. I hung up. So that's what happened. Jenna called 3 days after I sent the tickets, changed Brandon's name to her friend Lauren, charged my credit card, never told me, then posted about it on Facebook like it was her gift to give. I should have been crying. Instead, I felt numb, cold, empty. Then the numbness cracked and anger flooded in. Hot, fierce anger. I called Brandon again. This time he didn't answer. I left a voicemail. You need to fix this. Now. Call me back. He called 20 minutes later. Mom, I'm working. What? Jenna lied. She called the cruise company and changed your ticket to her friend's name without telling me. She charged my credit card another $200. And you're telling me I'm being dramatic? She probably forgot to mention it. It's not a big deal. Not a big deal. Not a big deal. Brandon, I am your mother. I saved for years to take you on this trip. I wanted us to spend time together, and your wife just stole it and gave it to her friend. How is that not a big deal? She didn't steal anything. You gave us the tickets. What we do with them is our decision. I couldn't speak, couldn't process what he'd just said. He continued, his voice cold. Honestly, Mom, you're being selfish. Jenna works really hard. She deserves a break. And you'll still get to go, won't you? So what's the problem? The problem is respect. Brandon, the problem is honesty. The problem is that I'm your mother and you're treating me like I don't matter. I have to go. Stop making drama. He hung up. I sat there staring at nothing. My son. My baby boy. The child I raised, sacrificed for, loved with everything I had. He just told me I was selfish for being upset that his wife stole my vacation. That night I went back to Facebook. Found Jenna's earlier post, the one from March 20th. Read the comments again. One I'd missed before jumped out. Someone named Ashley. Wait, isn't that supposed to be a family trip? Jenna's response. Plans change. She'll still go. She just has to deal with being a third wheel, LOL. Third wheel. On the trip I paid for. Another comment from Lauren. OMG, you're the best free vacation. Jenna. I know, right? She's loaded from her teacher pension, LOL. Loaded. Third wheel, LOL. I closed the laptop, walked to the bedroom, looked at the photo on my nightstand. John and me on our wedding day, 32 years ago. Both of us young, happy, full of hope. John, I whispered. What would you do? No answer, of course. Just me and the silence. But something shifted inside me. The hurt was still there. But underneath it, something else. Something harder, stronger. I wasn't going to cry anymore. I wasn't going to beg my son to care about me. I wasn't going to let Jenna treat me like a joke. I was going to do something about it. The next morning I woke up with absolute clarity. No more confusion. No more hoping Brandon would suddenly see reason. No more trying to be the nice, accommodating mother-in-law. I made coffee and called Alaska Dream Cruises again. A different representative answered. Alaska Dream Cruises, this is Marcus. How may I assist you? Hi Marcus, my name is Nell Harrison. I have a booking for June 15th. I need to understand my options. Of course. Let me pull up your reservation. I gave him the confirmation number. Heard typing. Got it. What can I help you with today? What are my options if I want to make changes or cancel? Well, since you're the original purchaser and the card holder, you have full control over the booking. You can make changes to passenger names, cancel the entire reservation, or modify cabin assignments. My heart beat faster. What do you mean I have full control? You purchased the tickets. Your credit card is on file, so you're the account holder. Any changes have to be authorized by you. But someone already changed a name without my authorization. Let me check the notes. Yes, I see that. On March 23rd, Jenna Cooper called and made a change. She shouldn't have been able to do that without your verbal confirmation, but it looks like there was an oversight. I apologize for that. So technically I could change the names back or make other changes? Absolutely. As the account holder, you have full authority. What if I wanted to cancel the whole thing? You're currently 92 days out from departure. Our cancellation policy at that range is a 20% fee. So you'd lose about $2,400, but receive a refund of the remaining $9,600. I did the math. $9,600 back. Better than nothing. But was that what I wanted? What about changing my own ticket to someone else's name? That's possible. Another $200 change fee would apply. And if I did, that would the other passengers have any say in it? No, ma'am. You're the account holder. You control all aspects of the booking. A plan formed in my mind, clear and perfect. Thank you, Marcus. You've been very helpful. Is there anything else I can help you with today? Not right now, but I'll be calling back soon. I hung up and sat very still thinking. Jenna changed Brandon's ticket to Lauren. Fine, but my ticket was still mine, and I could change it to anyone I wanted. I thought about my friend Dorothy, 62 years old, widowed 4 years ago just like me. We met at a grief support group. We've had coffee together every week since. She's kind, funny, honest. She's never betrayed me, never lied to me, never treated me like a joke. Last month over coffee, Dorothy mentioned she'd always wanted to see Alaska, but never had the money. Maybe someday, she'd said wistfully. I picked up my phone and called her. Hello. Dorothy, it's Nell. Do you have a few minutes? Of course, what's going on? You sound different. I need to tell you something. It's a long story. I told her everything. The trip, the savings, Brandon's excitement, Jenna's betrayal, the Facebook posts, Brandon's coldness, the phone calls. Dorothy listened without interrupting. When I finished, there was silence. Then, that little snake, how dare she treat you like that? Despite everything, I smiled. Dorothy always had a way of cutting to the heart of things. Here's why I'm calling. I have a ticket to Alaska, 7 days in June, and I'd like you to come with me. What, Nell? No, that's your trip, your family trip. It was supposed to be, but Jenna turned it into something else. So now I'm turning it into what I want. A trip with someone who actually values me. Will you come? Nell, I can't let you pay for me. That's too much. Dorothy, you've been there for me through the worst time of my life. You listened when I cried about John. You reminded me how to laugh. You never asked for anything in return. Please, let me give you this. Her voice wavered. Are you sure? I've never been more sure of anything. She was quiet for a moment. Then, when do we leave? On April 10th, I called Alaska Dream Cruises for the 3rd time. I'd like to make a name change on my booking. The representative pulled up my information. Which passenger name would you like to change? Nell Harrison. I want to change it to Dorothy Walsh. I spelled Dorothy's full name, provided her date of birth, paid the $200 fee with my credit card. All set, Ms. Harrison. I'm emailing you an updated confirmation right now. Your cabin 8214 now has passengers Jenna Cooper, Lauren Martinez, and Dorothy Walsh. Perfect. Thank you. I hung up and checked my email. There it was. Official confirmation. New passenger list. I printed it out. Stared at those three names. Jenna Cooper, Lauren Martinez, Dorothy Walsh. Not Nell Harrison, not Brandon Cooper. The original family trip was gone, but something better had taken its place. Dorothy called me that evening excited. I can't believe this is real. We're really going to Alaska. We really are. What about Jenna? Won't she be surprised when she finds out? She'll find out when she gets the email notification from the cruise line, probably in a few days. Are you worried about how she'll react? I thought about that. No, I'm not worried at all. For the next 2 months, I didn't hear from Brandon or Jenna. Not one phone call, not one text, nothing. It was like I didn't exist. Fine with me. Dorothy and I spent that time planning. We bought warm jackets at a clearance sale. I found a good digital camera at a pawn shop for $30. We researched the ports. Glacier Bay, Ketchikan with its totem poles. Juneau, the capital you can only reach by boat or plane. Skagway with the historic Gold Rush train. Every week at coffee, we'd pull out our notebooks and add more ideas. What to pack, what to see, what photos to take. Dorothy glowed with excitement. It was contagious. I found myself genuinely looking forward to this trip, now not with the nervous hope I'd felt before, but with real joy. Meanwhile, Jenna kept posting on Facebook. Countdown posts. 3 months until Alaska. Then 2 months. Pictures of outdoor gear she was buying. More photos of her and Lauren, always with captions about their epic adventure. I didn't comment. Didn't like. Just watched. Early June arrived, 2 weeks before departure. Jenna's posts intensified. Photos of her suitcase. Packing for paradise. A picture of her and Lauren at a store holding matching rain jackets. Ready for our adventure. Then on June 14th, the day before departure, everything changed. That afternoon, I was in the garden watering tomatoes when my phone rang. Brandon. First time he'd called in 2 months. I almost didn't answer. But curiosity won. Hello. What did you do? His voice was ice. Hello to you too, Brandon. Jenna just got an email from the cruise line. It says Dorothy Walsh is the third passenger. Who is Dorothy Walsh? My friend. Your friend. What happened to your ticket? I changed it, just like Jenna changed yours. Silence. Then, you can't do that. Actually, I can. I'm the account holder. I paid for the trip. I can make any changes I want. Jenna is already in Alaska. She flew there this morning with Lauren. They're in Anchorage right now. I know. Dorothy and I fly out tomorrow morning. We'll all be on the same ship. You can't do this. This was supposed to be Jenna and Lauren's trip. Something inside me snapped. No, Brandon. This was supposed to be our trip. Mine, yours, and Jenna's. A family trip. Your wife turned it into something else. So now I'm turning it into what I want. You're being vindictive. I'm being smart. Your wife lied to me, stole from me, charged my credit card without permission, and mocked me on social media. So now she gets to share a cabin with me and my friend. If she doesn't like it, she can get off the ship. She paid for her flight to Alaska. She paid for Lauren's flight. That was her choice. I paid for the cruise, the cabin, the excursions. If she wants to use those, she'll be seeing me every day for a week. You're going to regret this. The only thing I regret, Brandon, is raising a son who thinks it's okay to let his wife treat his mother like garbage. I hung up. My hands were shaking, but not from fear. From power. From finally standing up for myself. Dorothy called an hour later. Did you hear from Brandon? Oh, yes. How bad was it? Pretty bad. But Dorothy, I don't care. This is our trip now. Let them be angry. We're going to have the time of our lives. She laughed. You know what? You're right. Let's do this. June 15th, departure day. Dorothy picked me up at 5 in the morning. We drove to Portland International Airport, giddy with excitement despite the early hour. Our flight to Anchorage left at 7:30. 3 hours later, we landed in Alaska. The air was crisp and cool, even though it was June. Mountains surrounded the airport, still capped with snow. Everything looked bigger here, wilder. A shuttle bus waited to take cruise passengers from the airport to the port in Seward, about 2.5 hours south. Dorothy and I climbed aboard with about 30 other travelers. Everyone was chattering, excited. As we drove through Alaska, I pressed my face to the window like a child. Forests of spruce and hemlock, rivers rushing with snowmelt, mountains that seemed to touch the sky. It was more beautiful than any picture. "John would have loved this," I whispered. Dorothy squeezed my hand. "He's here with you. I'm sure of it." We arrived at the port around 2 in the afternoon. The cruise ship waited at the dock. Massive, white and gleaming in the sun, 10 stories tall. The name painted on the side, Arctic Star. Dorothy gasped. "Look at that thing. It's enormous." We joined the line for check-in, showed our IDs and boarding passes, received our room key cards in little paper sleeves. Cabin 8214. "Welcome aboard, ladies," the crew member said. "Enjoy your cruise." We walked up the gangway onto the ship. Crew members directed us to an elevator. "Deck 8, turn left, cabin will be on your right." Everything was elegant. Carpeted hallways with artwork on the walls, warm lighting, classical music playing softly. We found cabin 8214. I slid the key card into the slot. Green light. Click. I pushed the door open. The cabin was smaller than I'd imagined, but lovely. 3 single beds arranged in an L shape, a bathroom with a shower, a small desk and chair, and sliding glass doors that opened onto a private balcony. Dorothy rushed to the balcony. "Nell, look." I joined her outside. The view stretched over the port, the town of Seward beyond, and mountains rising in the distance. The air smelled like salt and pine. "This is incredible," Dorothy breathed. We stood there together, taking it in. Then Dorothy turned to me. "Thank you. For this. For everything." "You don't have to thank me. You're my family, Dorothy. More than Brandon has been in a long time." We unpacked our bags. I'd brought 4 outfits, pajamas, toiletries, my camera. Dorothy had similar items. We hung things in the small closet, arranged our things on the desk. Then I noticed. 2 beds had luggage near them. Not ours. Designer suitcases. Expensive looking. One had a tag. Jenna Cooper. So they were already here. Somewhere on this ship. Dorothy saw me looking. "You okay?" "Yeah, I'm fine. Let them come. I'm ready." We left the cabin and explored the ship. There was a dining room on deck 3 with floor-to-ceiling windows, a buffet on deck 10, a theater on deck 5, multiple lounges and bars, a library, even a small casino. At 6 o'clock, we went to the deck 10 buffet for dinner, grabbed plates and loaded them with salmon, roasted vegetables, fresh bread. Found a table by the windows overlooking the water. I was cutting into my salmon when I saw them. Jenna and Lauren entering the buffet from the far door. Jenna wore white linen pants and a blue blouse. Lauren had on a sundress. They were laughing about something. Then Jenna's gaze swept the room, landed on me. Her face went pale. The laughter died. She stopped walking. Lauren, still talking, nearly bumped into her. We locked eyes across the dining room. I didn't smile, didn't wave, just looked at her steadily. She said something to Lauren, who turned and looked at me too. Lauren's expression shifted from confusion to discomfort. Jenna grabbed Lauren's arm and steered her to a table in the far corner, as far from us as possible. They sat with their backs partially to us. Dorothy leaned across the table. "Well, that was awkward." "For them, maybe. I feel fine." We finished eating slowly, savoring everything. The food was delicious. The view was stunning. The company was perfect. As we stood to leave, I glanced at Jenna's table. She was watching me with narrowed eyes. I gave her a small nod, polite but cold, and walked past toward the exit. Behind me, I heard rapid footsteps. "We need to talk." I turned. Jenna stood there, arms crossed. Up close, I could see tension in her jaw, anger in her eyes. "I don't think there's anything to discuss," I said calmly. "You embarrassed me. Lauren thinks I lied to her about this trip." You did lie to her. You told her this was your gift. It wasn't. It was mine. I never said it was my gift. I said my mother-in-law gave it to us. Which is true. You said you were loaded. You called me a third wheel. You mocked me on Facebook. Her face flushed. You were stalking my Facebook. You posted publicly. That's not stalking. That's you being careless. I can't believe you'd do this. You deliberately ruined my vacation. Dorothy stepped beside me. She paid $12,000 for a family trip. You stole it and gave it to your friend. She had every right to change her own ticket. Jenna glared at Dorothy. Who even are you? Someone who actually cares about Nell. Unlike you. This is insane. Brandon is going to hear about this. I smiled, but it wasn't warm. He already knows. He called yesterday. Feel free to complain to him all you want. You're vindictive and petty. No, Jenna. I'm done being a doormat. You and Lauren are welcome to enjoy the cabin we're sharing, or you can find somewhere else to sleep. Up to you. I walked away, Dorothy beside me. My hands were steady. My heart was calm. Behind us, Jenna stood frozen in the middle of the hallway. The next 7 days were the best week I'd had in years. Every morning, Dorothy and I woke early. We'd step out onto the balcony with coffee from the cabin's little machine and watch the sun rise over the water. Alaska in summer never gets fully dark, just a soft twilight that fades into dawn. We saw glaciers, massive walls of blue ice hundreds of feet tall, calving into the ocean with sounds like thunder. We stood on the deck bundled in our jackets, cameras ready, gasping every time a chunk of ice broke off and crashed into the water. In Ketchikan, we walked through the historic downtown. Wooden boardwalks, brightly painted buildings, totem poles towering everywhere. We visited a cultural center where Native Alaskans demonstrated traditional carving and weaving. I bought a small hand-carved seal for $20. Dorothy got a beaded bracelet. In Juneau, we took a bus to a waterfall. Mendenhall Glacier hung in the distance, a river of ice flowing down between mountains. We hiked a short trail through rainforest, everything green and dripping and alive. Saw a black bear far off in the trees. My hands shook as I took photos. In Skagway, we rode the White Pass Railway, an old gold rush train that climbed through mountains on tracks that seemed impossible. Sheer cliffs on one side, drops of hundreds of feet on the other. The scenery was breathtaking. Dorothy cried, she was so moved by the beauty. Every evening we'd return to the cabin exhausted and happy. Jenna and Lauren were there sometimes. They'd go silent when we entered, gathering their things and leaving quickly. Other times the cabin was empty. We never spoke beyond brief, cold greetings. I saw them around the ship. At meals they sat far away. During shows in the theater they chose seats on the opposite side. They avoided us completely. Fine with me. Dorothy and I had each other. We laughed until our sides hurt. We shared memories of our late husbands. We talked about everything and nothing. One night, sitting on the balcony under the pale midnight sky, Dorothy said, "I'll never forget this. You gave me something I could never have afforded on my own." You gave me something too. You reminded me that I deserve to be treated with respect, that I don't have to accept crumbs from people who should love me. She smiled. You're stronger than you think, Nell. I'm learning that. On the second to last day, I checked Facebook for the first time since boarding. Jenna had posted exactly twice, just photos of scenery, no captions, no hashtags, no excited ramblings about adventures. Lauren hadn't posted at all. The final night we packed our bags, cleaned up the cabin, left it neat for the staff. The next morning, June 22nd, we disembarked in Seward, caught the shuttle back to Anchorage, flew home to Portland. As the plane took off, I looked out the window at Alaska disappearing below. 7 days that changed everything. Dorothy dozed beside me. I pulled out my phone and scrolled through the photos. Glaciers, totem poles, waterfalls, bears, mountains, and so many pictures of Dorothy and me smiling happy-free. I didn't have a single photo with Jenna or Lauren. They weren't part of this story anymore. Back in Portland, life resumed its normal rhythms. Dorothy and I still met for coffee every week, but now we had a shared adventure to relive. We'd pull out photos on our phones and remember. Do you recall that moment when the glacier calved and everyone screamed? And the bear, I thought you were going to drop your camera, you were shaking so hard. We laughed. We remembered. We treasured it. Brandon didn't call for 2 months after the cruise. Not once. Then in late August, my phone rang. His name on the screen. I almost sent it to voicemail. But something made me answer. Hello. Mom, can we talk? His voice was different. Quieter. Less certain. Of course. Silence. Then, I'm sorry. 2 words I hadn't expected. I sat down. Why are you sorry? For how I treated you. For not standing up for you. For letting Jenna do what she did. What changed? Jenna and I have been arguing since the trip. She's angry that I didn't force you to give her your ticket back. I told her she had no right to expect that. She said I was taking your side. I said there were no sides, just right and wrong. It got ugly. I'm sorry to hear that. She kept saying you ruined her vacation. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized she ruined yours first. You planned that trip for us, for family, and we treated you like you didn't matter. My throat tightened. Yes, you did. I was a terrible son. You were, but you're calling now, that's something. We talked for an hour. Really talked. He told me about work stress, about feeling caught between me and Jenna, about not knowing how to handle conflict. I told him how lonely I'd been, how much his distance hurt, how betrayed I felt. It wasn't a magic fix. The hurt didn't disappear. But it was a start. He asked about the cruise. I told him about the glaciers, the wildlife, the train ride, about Dorothy and how much fun we had, about feeling free and valued for the first time in years. I'm glad you went with someone who appreciated it, he said. Me too. Do you think we can fix this, us, I mean? I don't know, Brandon. That depends on whether you're willing to set boundaries with Jenna. I won't be disrespected again. I understand. I'll work on it, I promise. We've talked a few times since then. He visits occasionally. Without Jenna. We're rebuilding slowly. There's still distance, still hurt. But at least now there's honesty. Jenna and I haven't spoken since the cruise. I don't expect we ever will. And that's okay. I learned something important on that trip to Alaska. I learned that standing up for yourself isn't selfish. It's necessary. For years after John died, I'd been the accommodating mother, the one who didn't make waves, who accepted whatever treatment people gave me because I was afraid of losing the little connection I had left. But that kind of acceptance isn't love. It's fear. And fear makes you small. I also learned that family isn't always blood. Dorothy has been more of a family to me this past year than Brandon was for 2 years. She listens, she cares, she shows up. That's what matters. The $12,000 I spent on that trip was the best investment I ever made. Not because of the glaciers, though they were magnificent. Not because of the train ride or the totem poles or the bears, though all of it was incredible. But because I reclaimed something I'd lost. My sense of worth. My willingness to fight for myself. That night when Brandon called me selfish for being upset, something in me woke up. A part of me that had been sleeping since John died. The part that knows her value. The part that refuses to be diminished. Some people might say what I did was petty. That I should have just let Jenna have her trip, been the bigger person, turned the other cheek. But you know what? I'd spent 6 years being the bigger person. 6 years turning the other cheek. And where did it get me? Alone, disrespected, taken for granted. So I made a different choice. I chose myself. I chose joy with someone who valued me instead of begging for scraps from people who didn't. And I'd do it again. In a heartbeat. Now let me ask you something. Have you ever been in a situation where you had to choose between keeping the peace and standing up for yourself? What did you do? I'd love to hear your story in the comments below. And if this story resonated with you, if you've ever felt dismissed or taken for granted by family, hit that like button. Subscribe to this channel because I believe we all need reminders that we're worth fighting for. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Someone who's been too accommodating for too long. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope it reminds you that kindness is beautiful, but it should never come at the cost of your self-respect. You deserve to be valued. You deserve to be heard. And sometimes the most loving thing you can do is to stand up and say enough. Take care of yourselves out there. And remember, you're worth more than you think.